here's the bit. Here's what we're going to do. We're each going to get a bottle or two of wine. And we're going to bring it to Tom's place because the Bucks game was on.
Yeah.
And so me, Matt, my friend Alex, and his cousin, who I called my attorney the entire night. He was so pissed. He is actually an attorney, but I'd be like, so this is Matt, Alex, and this is my attorney, Tom. Another Thomas.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I legally have to say, no, I am not.
I legally have to say no. I would mess with him all night.
If you buy him a drink, does he stay on retainer?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Well, my joke was like,
money.
This is my attorney. Don't worry about it.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to Elden Dogs.
Elden Dogs.
The podcast where we talk about Elden Ring, we talk about Elden things, and we talk about beer and stuff. Speaking of beer, let's go ahead and crack some beers here. Beautiful. I want to start off this episode by saying a very happy birthday to our resident Dylan. Today, he is not the Dung Eater, he is the Cake Eater, which is an insult in Mighty Ducks, but I think it's an okay thing.
Is Cake Eater an insult?
It's what he calls.
And why, though?
He calls like the bougie kid from the rich district who was forced to play with the Mighty Ducks, like, get out of here, Cake Eater.
What's wrong with cake?
I don't know,
There's
but
nothing wrong with cake.
Most importantly, happy birthday, Dylan.
Oh,
Happy birthday,
guys.
bud.
Brad got me a very nice gift. He got me the Dark Souls board game.
Yeah, it was a nice gift. It was almost a coloring book, but I'm like, Dylan deserves a nice present. So,
Well, shoot. Now I got to like one-up you for your birthday.
I know I should have bought you a car.
Oh, shit. I'd love that.
Here you go, Brad. Here's a house.
Damn it! Here's a jet.
Yeah, a Learjet.
Here's a professional sports team. We're out of our league here, fellas. Yeah. This is Elden Dogs. We're part of Hair the Dogcast, and we're part of the HyperX Podcast Network. For other amazing shows, check out podcast.hyperx.com. And yeah, we're talking about Elden Ring. Guys, love Elden Ring.
I mean, I love Elden Ring too. I will apologize. I am burning some midnight oil right now. So if my energy's a little weird, you got to deal with it.
Oh, I'm in the same boat with you, bud.
Okay.
I mean, the Dung Eater does what the Dung Eater wants at all times.
Sorta, yeah. Sorta.
Yeah. He does sometimes have to podcast.
Sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
And I am...
I mean, I deal with you guys. It's...
Fair enough.
We tie you to a chair, though, to podcast.
Could you loosen it a little, though? Like, I can't breathe.
I cannot even breathe.
Okay.
I'm Gideon Offnear, and I am a pretentious wannabe, command people to do my bidding, and how's it going over there?
Iron Fist Alexander's doing pretty good. I'm Iron Fist Alexander that's like stuck in the dirt today, though.
You're stuck in the dirt.
Yeah, that's where my energy level's at. Work's been killer. We've been very busy because of the warm weather. So I'm a tired pot. Fighting pot? Giant pot?
Yeah.
Warrior pot.
Warrior pot?
Yeah.
Yep.
A noble champion.
Iron Fist Alexander, formerly known as Bach.
Someone who eats a lot of people.
You got to do what you got to do, though.
Did you, before we get really started, I wanted to get an update on Tyler's quest to help every NPC. Did you find out what happened in Nepheli Lu yet?
No, I took a little detour from Elden Ring for a little bit, played some other games, and then jumped back into it and had a little bit of Elden Ring atrophy, where my muscles didn't really work. I wasn't as sharp as I used to be.
It's because you took a break.
Took a break. That's tough to do. So then to ease myself back in, I created a new character to try a different build and went just strength, no magic.
You guys got to finish this game.
I know, but I needed to put the training wheels back on and get up to speed.
Okay.
Get back in my iframe zone, and I got it back.
Yeah, I've actually been playing as usual a little bit more lately. And I feel like my dodging has gotten just on point. I am no longer afraid to fight any boss.
Nope.
I'm getting very good at tells, and I just love jumping behind a boss and just giving a little spank with my sword, and it feels good. I feel like
Three hits, run away. Three hits, run away.
I didn't realize I was a heavy dodging boy for the longest time. I remember when
Heavy? You're a heavy?
I used to be. This was like a month ago. You came over and you said, "Oh my God, Brad, what are you doing?" And I didn't realize how horrible it was. But
Dodging is the best way to deal with enemies in this game. Shield, it takes up a lot more stamina than even like what a Dark Souls would do. So it's like, you're better off just learning how to read the enemies.
Plus, if you get used to using the shield like I did with my spell sword at the beginning, I became very reliant on it.
Now, have you guys been using shields as weapons? There are some that are.
I've toyed around with it just because I do have some baller-ass shield weapons.
Okay.
I mean, there's nothing cooler than a shield that shoots fire and you can just walk towards enemies and just...
That is true.
I got one that does bleed damage because it's got like barbed wire or something wrapped around it.
Oh, yeah, that like spirally thorny one. That's not so bad.
I think it might just be called the Spiral Thorn shield.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I used that for a while, though.
But they phoned in the name on that one.
Yeah. And then there's like the Knight in Flame Stance and all the other ones, and it's just like, I don't know, Thorny Shield.
It's a thorny shield.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, today we are wrapping up our discussion on the Limgrave area, which I'm excited to get all of Godrick out of our system, which it's a weird way to say it, but...
Yeah.
And yeah, we're going to discuss Stormveil Castle. And before we get into the castle, though, I wanted to discuss the Golden Lineage. This is going to be an important aspect as we wrap up locations, little areas on the map, because there are 6 major demigod children. Not all of them are children, but people that have the Elden shards, the shards of the Elden Ring, and they have these shards from a certain event that happened. And to understand what's going on in Limgrave, we need to understand who Godrick is, why he is, and where he came from. Godrick is a part of what is called the Golden Lineage. The Golden Lineage comes from Godfrey and Marika. They were the Queen Marika and Godfrey, who was originally from the Badlands, and his name was not Godfrey. It was Horalu. And he was a wild man who, in order to quell the rage within him, he grafted the Beast Regent, that lion. So when you see Godfrey with that lion like grafted to his back, he grafted the Beast Regent to his back, which kind of subdued all of his rage. And so that was the first major instance of grafting, at least in the Golden Lineage. And I guess if you wanted to get technical, there's a lot of grafting that happens in other areas in other ways, but that's like where my grandpa did grafting, so I have 10 arms now. It's kind of comes from that. But
too much of a good thing, right, guys?
At some point, Godrick, you have 10 arms that don't do anything on your back other than just hang out. I don't know if you're getting stronger from those arms. I guess, though, if you had a really odd itch, that might be of assistance.
I feel like there's like a General Grievous meme in there somewhere.
What if they all had lightsabers?
Yes, and they all just shake around.
I feel like he's just a lonely guy, and he heard about the term peacocking, where you dress super outrageous to like get people to notice you, and he took it the wrong way, and he's like, I'll just make a tail feather of ants.
Let's be clear.
I wouldn't sleep with you if you had 10 arms. Well, here's 11.
Godrick is definitely an incel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
There's no way anyone fucks Godrick.
Nobody likes Godrick.
Nope.
He's very lonely. His family has looked down on him from the beginning. Well, I mean, he has a lot to live up to. Godfrey was the first Elden Lord.
Correct.
Badass dude. And then the firstborn son of Godfrey and Marika was Godwyn the Golden. Named so because Godwyn had golden hair. Surprisingly, you only see Godwyn's relatively humanoid form in a couple images in the game. It's just him dead with the golden hair on the ground because he is the first one killed in the Night of Black Knives. He's the only non-Omen born of Marika and Godfrey as well. The other two are, of course, Morgott and Mohg, who we've seen. Morgott, who goes under the alias Margit. And
for fun.
And Mohg hangs out with the Dung Eater downstairs in the basement. They don't really hang out together, but they're both down there doing some weird shit.
Okay, yeah.
And you'll also see Mohg elsewhere. But Godwyn was the only non-Omen child born. So imagine the most firstborn star quarterback kid, and you just like computers, and you have a hunchback. Yeah.
Dad, I want to dance.
I want to be a dancer.
Yeah, it's a real Billy Elliot scenario.
Why don't you be more like Godwyn? Yeah, a couple of nerdy twins that nobody wanted. Godwyn was responsible for ending the war with the dragons. There was a war with the dragons, and it ended with him fighting Fortisax. And rather than killing Fortisax, they just became best friends. Like, this is my best friend, the dragon, which sounds like a Pixar movie a little bit.
Yeah.
Which one is Fortisax? Which element does he wield?
I don't remember. I don't know if I think we do fight you Fortisax. I will do a lot more.
I don't know for sure. It's fine, but
yeah,
that'll be later.
Yeah, this is a little bit more of an overview. When there will be a time when I understand everything about Grand Sax, Placidusax, and Fortisax. Today is not that day.
No.
They do become homies, though. The Knight of Black Knives, Ronnie, steals a part of the Rune of Death from Malekith and had the Newmans assassinate Godwyn. This was the Knight of Black Knives. This was Godwyn's death is the first time a demigod or a god has been killed. And it's a big event. This event causes Godwyn's soul to die, but his body lives on. And has an inverse effect on Ronnie, where her body dies, but her soul lives on. Oh my God, that literally just makes so much sense. Yeah.
Okay. Nope, you're really pulling some shit together for me because I don't do the deep dives.
Yeah, and I mean, I went through all of Ronnie's quest line. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. She's a puppet.
Yeah,
she's a doll now, and I love her.
Yeah,
this is my girlfriend. She's a doll. Yeah, they're gonna lock me up in the basement with Margit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and this was possibly what she wanted to happen. She was trying to get out of the view of the greater will because it could kind of keep an eye on her, but with her body and soul separated, she was able to disappear and start working on her own machinations. But a part of this, Godwyn had a body which was living on without a soul, and he became the first of those who live in death. His body was placed at the roots of the Erd tree. And bad idea. He carried part of a curse mark of death with him. And when you see death root spreading throughout the land, you see some of it. There's not a lot, but his poisoned living body has been absorbed into the Erd tree and is spreading some weirdness throughout the world.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and those who live in death begin to worship Godwyn. The leader of those would be a deathbed companion.
Okay.
Godwyn, though, did get laid a few times. We don't know by who.
Way to go.
Yeah. Well, he was the quarterback. It was probably like at a party or something. And
he did a gnarly keg stand and just won everybody over.
Pretty blonde hair.
all the ladies wanted Godwyn. It's probably like a She's All That type scenario or something. I don't know. He was a good-looking boy and got laid.
But you said he was a hunchback, though.
No, Godwyn wasn't. Margot and Moog were the twins. The little. Okay. They're like, we don't care what the twins do. We have the good one already.
Oh, okay, yeah. So pretty.
So Godrick is descended from Godwyn, who is descended from Godfrey. Mm-hmm. It is known as the Golden Lineage because it's like the firstborn, and it's. It would be kind of the rightful claim would come down to Godrick. If we really wanted to split hairs, as long as there were no bastard offsprings that we don't know about, which would be very George R. R. Martin, but we have no reason to believe that. If America is gone, potentially Godrick would have the best claim. There is one other member of the Golden Lineage we do run into. His name is Godfroy. Godfroy the Grafted is in the Golden Lineage Everjail. This is outside of Lanedell on the Altus Plateau. It's just a reskin of the same. It's the same character essentially with a different name, but he's a member of the Golden Lineage who has taken to grafting. So Godrick wasn't the first ding dong, but he is the greatest ding dong.
Yeah.
So the shattering happens. Marika's pissed. She shatters the Elden Ring. And power vacuum, all of the kids start grabbing what shards of the Elden Ring they can.
They scramble, yeah. Godfroy
the Grafted led an attack on Lanedell during the shattering. He lost and was imprisoned. That's where Godfroy comes from. Godrick the Golden, though, he managed to get a shard of the Elden Ring. And after she shatters it, we'll go into it. Yeah, he claimed a shard, and he was able to escape the capital. in the words of Kenneth Haidt, in the big lady's blouse. You'll find an item in Stormveil, but he disguised himself with the women and ran out.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons everyone's like, fuck Godrick, man. He didn't even like go out with his army with like a big attack. He ran out with the women folk.
I mean, he's a survivor. You've got to respect it.
The character I respect least in the Hobbit films is that fucking dude who dresses like a lady in the last one.
What? I don't remember the Battle of the Five Armies.
It's that bad.
It's the one that I always get confused with Wormtongue or whatever that guy's name is.
He's a Wormtongue knockoff. He's like
Yeah.
a 10th descendant of Wormtongue. He's he's like Godrick the Grafted of the Hobbit films.
There we go.
Godrick, he escapes by using an item and dressing like a woman. Great, very good. Radahn is a major badass. He chases him, pursues him south to Limgrave. Godrick takes shelter in Stormveil Castle along with his loyalists because there are still people that are like, this is the guy.
You got to follow it, yeah.
Firstborn, you don't have to love him. Joffrey Baratheon is the king. We have to listen.
Sure.
And then, so he hides. Radahn goes off to his castle. And then Malenia, on her way to fight Radahn, runs into Godrick outside at the Gatefront Ruins, which that's like where you get the original whetstone knife. And you get Torrent. That's he insults her. We don't know what he says, but he insults Malenia and then gets destroyed by her. And then he grovels and begs for his life. Another reason I was like, dude, fuck Godrick, man. This
Well, it's funny because he is actually a very intimidating enemy. I think what's cool about a lot of this is that you can get intimidated by every single one of these bosses, but this kind of backstory stuff really humanizes them in a very strange way. I didn't know any of this.
Because you do when you play it, there's like a separation. You're like, oh, it's a boss. It's the king or something. Like, he's the leader of the castle.
He must be pretty cool.
It's fun to humanize him though, and I love Kenneth Haidt. Like, he gets so upset. He goes, "The big girl's blouse," which that's a funny insult in itself.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, yeah. Godrick, though, I mean, you maybe feel a little bad for the guy. I don't. He probably had it rough when you have such other people sitting in the chairs around the Elden Throne as Ronnie, Praetor Rykard. You have Radahn, and then I think Godrick was pretty small, which is one of the reasons that he did go to grafting.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a like major demigod status.
Yeah.
And they even call him the runt of the litter. That's what one of the finger readers call him. So he's definitely got a Napoleon complex, and everyone kind of just, I think, they throw food at him when he's not looking, and he doesn't know who to get mad at. I'm not trying to make it okay. Fuck this guy, but that's we're talking about humanizing Godrick. I think he probably had it pretty rough.
He probably had it rough, but when you arrive at Stormveil Castle, if you're paying attention, he's a king of almost nothing.
Well, I mean,
his household is like broken.
There's no love.
There's no love. There's nothing. He doesn't like his only claim can be that he maybe can claim Limgrave, and that's not necessarily true. Then
he doesn't really have a good claim to Limgrave, but he is the ruler of Limgrave.
Yeah,
Castle Morn down in the Weeping Peninsula. Yeah. Edgar was installed by Godrick. Mm-hmm. All of the soldiers roaming around, they are Godrick. They're wearing the banner. They're wearing the sigil of Godrick, which it's the green and the red. It's got the Erd tree and it's got the lion, which is paying homage to Sirash and Godfrey.
Godfrey mostly, yeah.
But most of the soldiers that are working for Godrick these days are sellswords. They're hedge knights. There's not a lot left that are diehard loyalists. Most of them have been killed. Right now, he's hiring prisoners, probably rapists. Like the worst of the worst are who is currently working for Godrick.
Yeah.
And that's such a George R.R. Martin thing too. Like, just because the lineage falls to him, he's in power, but being such a pathetic groveling little runt, like
Yeah.
he was called. But it is impressive that he has that much going on in that part of the map, like all the way down to the Weeping Peninsula, having all the soldiers installed and actually seeming
Even somewhat into Caelid.
yeah, he seems formidable like when you meet him.
Yeah.
And I do agree with you. He is like the ruler of the ruins when you get to Stormveil, because it's just like that place is just so sad and depressing.
Yeah.
What is there to Limgrave? Limgrave might as well be just a series of ruins. There's not a lot of like what even for what this game could call like settlements or something like that. There's like no there's not a lot of glitz and glamour. In fact, it's kind of it's a little podunk. It's kind of like
There's that Kenneth's Fort and then Castle Morn.
Yeah.
And outside of that,
The village that has been taken over by the Flame of Frenzy.
the Mistwood ruins. It doesn't. It seems to me like he kind of got like the backwater, like North Woods of Wisconsin type kingdom.
and
He's the king of Wisconsin.
Yeah, I might as well be so.
had he been a good ruler, I mean, imagine what Limgrave would be. But because he's such a
Pompous little
Shite.
he's too busy trying to graft himself and make himself into this dragon fucking asshole.
Meanwhile,
he grafts himself into a dragon out of desperation.
Yeah, because I'm whooping his ass.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
meanwhile, you have Radon, who is so loved by everybody who is part of his like army that even after Radon has gone crazy, they're like, we have to do what's right and give him a soldier's death. Like people are willing to go die for their love of Radon.
They want to send him to Valhalla.
Now Renala, not as beloved.
No.
Praetor Rickard, misunderstood by everyone. They say he's got a serpentine misdemeanor, which is a little more on the nose than they realize.
Yeah.
But no, Godrick is definitely a dinglebutt. And so, yes, after she defeated him with ease, he was forced to grovel at her feet for mercy. Now, when you do finally defeat Godrick, which we'll talk more about the battle, but at the end, you see his corpse afterwards, and it is like
Tiny.
it is from like his stomach up, and I think it only has one real arm.
Yeah. Mhm.
And I think that maybe she so thoroughly defeated him, that's all that was left. And maybe because when he left the capital, he was known as Godrick the Golden. That's what Margot calls him when he's naming everyone in the chairs. So he was still the Golden when he left.
Oh,
He
yeah,
became the
that's right.
grafted after he like.
So he went a little crazy.
I think it was after losing, getting like Radon kind of like flicking him off, and then Millennia thoroughly defeating him.
Okay.
I think that she probably tossed off a few limbs Obi-Wan Kenobi style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mos Eisley Cantina.
I mean, I think Grievous might be a better. Yeah, I think that's a good analogy for
Yeah.
who he is, though.
Yeah. I think that's fair. And I also think it's funny that he would have this like persecution complex too. I think there's something there that is kind of interesting. A lot of these characters tend to like take the form of like sins within like the Bible, like lust, like wrath, you know.
What would you say his is? Envy?
His would be envy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or greed. Because if he wants all these limbs, it's kind of greedy.
Godrick is the kind of guy that has the biggest red truck with a big set of balls on the back.
Just roll.
Oh, he's got truck nuts?
Dude, he grafted nuts to his truck.
So now that truck can't fuck.
Yeah. You guys see my truck? Very cool, Godrick. Very cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I love big, loud machines.
He shows up to a funeral just blaring his like Toby Keith so loud.
He said he wanted Skinner for his funeral. Free bird.
You know that's real bad for the environment, right? Can you turn it off?
It's pretty loud though, huh?
2 miles per gallon.
And after Millennia, she goes and fights Radon, and then she heads back north. But after that happens, I believe it's him. There's no reason to think otherwise. That bridge that is decimated on the right side of Stormveil, I think he purposely destroyed it so no one else could come down that way.
Sure.
He's trying to protect himself. And there's even a few things he does in Stormveil. Like the throne room has a recreation of the Elden throne up in the capital. He's
noticed
very
that,
much
yeah.
like just trying to, this is the capital now and I'm your king. Everybody, please like me. Please clap.
Well, he is essentially the first choking point of the game, unless you know how to bypass it, which isn't that hard. But
You wouldn't think to, though.
Most people would not think to, but maybe for intrepid young explorers like us, who kind of really just we get into like the pockets and the deep little areas. I think like it's quite easy to just be like, oh, fuck this castle for right now.
Yeah,
because it is technically like I think they really want you to just explore Limgrave all the way through and then move on.
I found a really great breakdown of how it scales with leveling in the game, the different areas, and you can kind of through that gauge how the game thinks people will go, not necessarily what they should do, because there's no right way or wrong way.
What
but
level do they think you should face Godrick?
Well, I mean, Limgrave, that area is the easiest. Weeping Peninsula would be the next. Stormveil would be after that. So Godrick would be logically the first shard you claim, the first demigod you kill.
Maybe level 30, something like that.
Oh yeah, I didn't look through that list. It's probably around 30 though.
Okay, yeah.
There were numbers, but I was mostly concerned about areas.
Yeah.
And it does go to Liurnia, the lakes, before it goes over to Caelid, which I think is the right move.
Yeah, that's the exact path I went too.
Yeah. I found a portal in the Dragon Barrow ruins, and I got destroyed in that little mine.
Yep.
Yeah. And so Godrick started grafting himself. Most of his body is that of a troll now. There is very little Godrick left. Mm-hmm. And yes, like I said, sellswords, banished knights, slaves. He appointed Edgar as Castellan of Castle Morn, trying to recreate capital, blah, blah, blah. So one of the reasons that he targets the Tarnished so much is he knows the Tarnished are trying to get to claim his shard of the Elden Ring.
Sure.
But also, any Tarnished that is able to get to him are the only ones deemed worthy of being grafted. It's kind of his way of doing a trial to everyone. If they actually can make it to him, he's like, all right, you're worthy of, I want your arm on my butt. You are going to be my butt scratching arm for the rest of your life.
No, it's the arm that waves it away like, ooh.
You don't want a part of that one. Yeah, that's kind of his test. And as far as those grafted scions go, you find one at the very beginning of the game.
And it absolutely decimates you.
There are two other ones you can find out in the wild, because he is sending scouts out.
I've met him, yeah.
Yeah, there's one up on Mount Gelmir, which, good for you. You are way out there by yourself.
Yeah.
And then there's one wandering the Lake of Liurnia dressed as a lobster.
But now hold on. What does that imply? Does he think that a Tarnished from the Volcano Manor could also be someone who could face him?
It's possibly that. It's possibly him doing reconnaissance, trying to see where there might be weak points to get another shard of the Elden Ring, because they all want it, but they're all afraid to lose what they have.
Yeah, because they've all kind of like secluded themselves in their own region, and like he's destroying bridges. Like they don't want any part of anybody coming to claim their shard. Plus, it's got to be terrifying for him too, because the Tarnished left in the Weeping Peninsula. Correct. We established that last episode. So theoretically, he has an idea where they could come back. So if they're coming back, I mean, obviously he knows they're coming back. He sends the grafted scion after you. But I just imagine that he's got to be like shaking in his multiple boots, knowing that like, oh shit, I've destroyed bridges and stuff now, so I am the first.
Dude, imagine Godrick going to Foot Locker's like, do you have 5 pairs of this in size 10 and 3 in size 2 or something? Like he can't just go buy a pair of shoes. He's got to go get a lot. I'm like, I need 11 gloves.
No, listen. If they work on commission, they're going to do great.
Yeah.
That guy's like, oh, Godrick's back. Yeah.
Make
him feel cool. Oh, you're so tall, Godrick.
I like
these nice new Jordans just came in.
Were those nuts on your truck?
I like the thinking
Very
too
cool.
that he grafted like 15 legs on with feet and then couldn't even get like the same size shoe. Like he didn't plan that far ahead.
How many wieners does he got?
Ooh, that is actually a pretty good question.
Yeah.
Rule 34, right? Like it probably exists.
Okay.
Dangerous.
Yeah.
You can't do this to me. I'm doing it.
The Dung Eater is on it, folks. Yep. Stormveil Castle was created by someone else. It was ruled by the Stormlord. This is a individual that we know barely anything about. There's not a lot of lore in the game, but it was ruled by someone known as the Stormlord. Their sigil is the Stormhawk. You can see it in the wine cellar. Down in some of the rooms tucked away are a lot of shields. You found it, Dylan?
Yeah, I found it.
All right. In the most PG way, describe the horrific sexual thing you're looking at.
It's actually very well illustrated. It is Godrick having sex with Millennia.
I want to see a body pillow of Godrick.
Hold on.
It'd be the least comfortable body pillow ever.
Hold on. Here we go. Oh, boy. Okay, so there are only 3.
But it does
That's
exist.
not Godrick, though. One of them's Godrick. This is the only Godrick I could find. Now, everyone take a look. You, Lou?
Okay. There's not a lot of Godrick showing, which is smart. I wish I could read Japanese.
It's probably just like moans and like, oh, babies and stuff like that.
That is...
How do you feel about this, Tyler?
I mean, Godrick is one of the only people that could QP a lady by himself.
Oh, man.
Now, he's apparently got... It does imply that he has many penises because actually, if you notice right here, they censored out the other penises on the side.
I'm going to go ahead and say, though, this might not be canonical artwork.
I believe it's canonical.
You believe this is an official piece of art?
Yes.
I mean...
There's no way of knowing.
But we can say confidently that the man addicted to grafting has probably grafted a couple extra dicks on there.
I mean, it's like Ed Gein gone wild. Ed Gein gone wild, 18 and older only.
Ed Gein didn't want more penises.
No, but like he's like, I'm gonna have 10 vages.
He mostly just wanted his mother's.
Here's my nipple belt.
I was just going to say, have you seen my nipple belt?
Yeah. Except Godrick could be like, yeah, well, I actually have it grafted onto me. Look at all these nipples.
Mm-hmm.
Back to Stormveil.
Of course.
Yeah. The castle was built around the same time as Castle Morn and the Bridge of Sacrifice. We can tell because it's got the same brickwork, the same design.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, at some point, though, Godrick took it over. The Stormlord was defeated. The Stormlord could potentially be a dragon. Some like to think it might actually be a Stormhawk king. I think it was probably a person, at least a humanoid thing, because a lot of the rooms are built around that. But it could be. The reason people like to think that is because it was like born in a storm, and there is an area you'll discover later and explore that's just inside of a storm. So it could at least be related to dragons somehow, but the Stormlord is a character I'd like to know more about, but sadly, we will not. So Stormveil Castle. Let's get into it. You get to the main gate after you defeat Margit, and after 50 tries. Yep, very easy battle. No one had any issues.
I honestly did not have as much trouble with Margit as everyone else did. I don't know if it's just like pure instinct, but...
Yeah, you definitely had more instinct than I did, way more than Tyler did.
Oh, yeah. Well, even going at him with my strength build that I just made and the atrophy.
He's rough with a strength build.
I got him, and I felt like it was easier than the first time I did him.
Which sword were you wielding?
I was using the axe that you get with the barbarian-looking dude.
Okay.
Which is a really good axe. It can carry you for a while. I didn't want to do the samurai because I feel like that katana was going to be kind of cheesy because it is a great katana.
Yeah, I like blood loss.
I know, but I was...
When you can get a boss on blood loss.
I was trying to get back in the groove, and I wanted something that was going to be like super challenging. Mm-hmm. And plus, I felt a little big for my britches because I was like, I've been here, done this. Let's get it done.
Yeah.
So you get to the main gate, and it's closed. There's a door open right to your left. And there's a guy, hey, Tarnish, come talk to me. His name is Gatekeeper Gostok. And you guys remember Gostok, I'm sure? Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm going to help you out. I'm such a good guy. You don't want to go through the main gate. He's like, I could open it for you because his job is just to like yell, open the gate. And he's pretty upset. If you look at his character, he is missing his left arm from like the elbow down. Historically, you would lose part of your arm or your hand if you were caught stealing. So it's potential he took something that he wasn't supposed to, and Godrick punished him. Potentially his arm is his butt-scratching arm now.
I was going to say, I know where that arm ended up.
It's actually Godrick's wiener now is his arm.
Oh, gross.
But he says, oh, I'm going to help you out so much. Just check out this little back door. They don't know about it. You can sneak up the backside. Did you guys know that Gostok is fucking with you the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, he's not helpful. He does tell you where to go, which is ultimately going to be the easiest way in. Every
His
time
intentions are not noble.
Every time you die in Stormveil until you beat Godrick, he steals 30% of whatever runes are left on the ground. So if you drop 5,000, there will be 5,000 minus 30% there for you to pick up.
No way.
Yeah, he's not helping you out.
No.
I did not realize that.
He's farming you.
I did see there was the liar ahead right before him. Someone had left a comment, and I was like,
But you also cannot trust those at all.
"Oh yeah,
Yeah.
But at the same time, like sometimes those messages are so brutally honest, and I'm just like, what are you doing to me? I don't like being tricked. I don't like being tricked by people I've never met, and I also don't want to be tricked by fictional characters.
I have come to the point now. I mean, when I was first playing, I did like seeing the messages, and now
I've turned them off.
Now I'm 100% offline because
I don't like it.
There are story-based times you can summon bloodstains, which we'll talk about here, and also messages which are left by NPCs, which you wouldn't even think to look at because they just blend in with all of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
yeah." The first one that I remember is that merchant. When you're heading towards the Weaving Peninsula, there's like it stands out. It's on the road. It's gold. It says merchant ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's one outside of Fort Haight which says now open for business, and it's right outside of a merchant spot, and that one's just supposed to be there, which is like great. Finally, one merchant who's trying to advertise that he is in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm back over here off the road where no one would look. I still missed him.
You missed the guy in Mistwood?
The first time I played, yeah.
Okay. He doesn't sell anything great. You're fine.
Yeah. No, most of the merchants don't actually sell too much great.
Yeah, that sucks.
The merchants have a really cool lore.
Yeah.
Gostok, though, yeah, every time you die, he'll still steal 30% of your runes. You're going up the cliff sides, which is a beautiful little part of the game there. It's fun doing all of the jumping on those little precarious spots, and it's possibly the first time a lot of players are doing this. If you didn't go down to Castle Morn, which has some of it, this definitely has a lot more where it's teaching you use that jump button a bunch. And
Stormveil is kind of built around the platforming.
it's so cool. There's so much platforming, and even if you think you've found everything, there is a lot more you probably haven't.
As we have learned.
Once I realized how big of a component the platforming was in Stormveil, it was like the first time I actually got a little bit of sandbox fatigue with the game, where I was like, oh man, this is going to be a much bigger endeavor than I originally thought it was going to be.
Well, a lot of it stems from, even with like level design, you only have so many flasks, you only have so many items that you can possibly use. And so there's a lot of like, I really just want to get to the next site of grace. And you end up skipping a lot because of that. In Dark Souls, getting to the next thing is actually kind of like oh God, thank fuck. There are a ton more sites of grace than there are bonfires. And it's like, it's a little too generous with it, to be completely honest.
If this was Bloodborne, there would be 2 sites of grace in the entire thing.
Of Stormveil, yeah.
Yep. Think about that. Instead, there's, I want to say 5 or 6, but let's say you get 3/4 of the way there in Bloodborne. So. I remember, like that little vampire castle area in Bloodborne. We have to take the carriage to.
Oh, with the ghosts.
With the ghosts, you have to fight this super badass dude on top of the
Carehorn,
Carepoop. It's Carepoopy.
It's Carepoop Castle.
But you have to go to the roof to fight a dude who's guarding a door, and if you die, you have to go up the entire castle. There's a couple shortcuts you unlock. It's still a 5-minute minimum run there.
There are no Stakes of America in that game.
Nope. Oh, God. There are a lot of sites of grace here, but yeah, so you're going up the cliffside. One of the items you can find right away is the marred leather shield.
It's not the worst shield.
It's an all right shield. It says, much like the castle, it is marred by mottling and thorns. So you'll see thorns on this. And then if you take a look at the castle when you're walking up the front gate, I was showing this to Dylan earlier, the left side looks like it has a lot of open sores and thorns growing out of it. And the right side looks a little more pristine. This shield, you'll see, has thorns wrapped around it. You'll notice
kind of only on one side.
Yeah, and you'll notice the soldiers, they have thorns growing on them too. So there is something that is causing this to happen. The shield says, some say it is the curse of grafting which causes such affliction, while others talk of its roots being something altogether more sinister hidden deep within the castle. which we will find.
The clues are all there.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so much berserk in this. I am every time I just think of my pal Kentaro Miura, man.
This game was designed to be everything we all loved at the same time.
This game has ruined me a little bit for other video games. There's things coming out on Game Pass right now.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I'd love to try this and play this, but
I tried Trek to Yomi and I said, wow,
tried.
The art design looks pretty cool.
I tried.
Also, I'm like, I can't.
I'm like, why would I do this?
Why would I do this?
Why?
Yeah. I played another game for almost 5 hours today, which, wow, I am playing other video games again. It was a huge step. But
We are a video game podcast, and we all agree that one video game for the past 4 months has been the most important thing to play in our lives.
we very quickly said, yeah, we should do 20 episodes on this game.
Yeah.
And it's I do not regret it for a millisecond.
Imagine January is going to roll around. We have to talk about a Mega Man lore again.
I know I can't.
Well, I'm excited to go back in with my mind just being totally rewired to
Oh no.
something worth talking about. So it'll be very fun. Like, all right, guys, Zero has been dead for 2,000 years.
Those games are hard as shit.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about those.
Oof.
I lied there very well. Yeah, so you'll come up on this cliffside here. You'll discover again some of these beautiful birds,
The Stormhawks.
the Stormhawks, which were at one point like the sigil of the castle, beloved animals. Like this, it's like dire wolves for the Starks. Like these animals are treated like royalty. There is some asshole who is shaving off their legs, attaching knives to them. And I was showing this to you earlier as well. They have chains attached to their wings so they can't fly too far. Like their wings are like kind of clipped together so they can't go long distances. Mm-hmm. And some of them have these apparatuses on their head which allow them to spit fire.
Yeah, as if the
Why they would
knife
willingly
feet
do that,
aren't
I don't know.
bad enough.
They adapt though, man. They know how to use those knives, those fucking assholes.
A very underrated Ash of War, by the way.
And a very important Ash of War that you can get later, the Stormhawk King,
Yeah.
which is integral in planting the new leader of Stormveil Castle after you beat Godrick. You can get an NPC to go there and rule.
Oh my god! I think
Tyler can't.
Tyler can't.
No.
You shouldn't help NPCs, Tyler.
Damn, the Yes Man route is. Jim Carrey made it look so good in the movie.
I wish they remade Yes Man as the worst fucking like schlocky X-rated film ever. Like, yeah, I'm in. He would just get into some bad situations.
I went to film school. I can make this happen.
He just dies of a heroin overdose. Yeah.
You want it? Yep, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's walk down this alley.
Optimism.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Should I look up Rule 34 Godrick? Yeah.
Yeah, do
I
it.
mean, I was
I was
at
gonna
some point it was
anyway.
going to happen. I'm not into it, but I needed to see it.
Then you do, after you get through the cliff sides, you emerge into a wine cellar, and you find the hook claws there.
I love the wine cellar.
The wine cellar is a pretty cool little area. I wish there was,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of wine. You can't really do anything with it, but
Well, yeah, but
it's a big wine cellar.
it is.
They used to have some ragers back in the day, I'm guessing. I mean, my idea of the Stormlord is Robert Baratheon because he is known as like the Stormlord in Game of Thrones, and there's a storm that like fought like nailed the side. You
It's also like, I mean, Godrick is kind of like the cuck of the lords.
yeah, who's like kind of a new ruler who probably doesn't deserve it.
Yeah,
But no one else was there, so Godrick became the ruler.
like he was tough enough, but he only got there because he was sly and he could deal.
He's a fucking doucher.
Yeah,
You also, besides finding Wolverine's claws in the wine cellar, which are cool enough, you do find the brick hammer, which is another thing that makes me think of Baratheon, wielded by a laborer who led a rebellion and later became a champion.
okay,
Very cool.
that's straightforward. You don't need to know more. It's kind of a standard weapon, you know.
Yeah, and it's one though that you see a lot of people using. You see a lot of
use it.
silhouettes go with a big brick hammer.
With two of them.
Yeah, which is a boom. It's a very baller move. They would be great at whack-a-mole.
I think the reason that they dual wield them too is that it actually has a faster swing than most of the other hammers. So you can actually kind of flick between them and actually really make it useful and effective.
I forget
because
too
it's not the most powerful.
I forget too, if you dual wield some of the same weapons, they have different attacks and faster attacks that are based around those. So
It depends on which hand you wield it with.
Well, if not like dual wield, like dual wield, not
yeah.
like double hand, but like have two hammers, you'll have like different attacks.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, which I'm curious about that now. Yeah, in the wine cellar you'll find those two items, but then you'll eventually go to a door which will lock behind you. Mm-hmm. This is Godrick. He is locking you in there. You hear him laughing.
That bastard.
he's a bit of a Patches type.
He seems so nice. You'll be locked in this room, and you're gonna have to fight a banished knight. Potentially will catch you off guard and get you a couple times, but not too difficult.
You can kind of see him even without the lantern. If
Yeah, it's not the darkest, but it is a little dark.
It more or less, it's kind of like a survival horror element.
Yeah, you guys can speak for yourself. That guy scared the living shit out of me.
Really?
I was not prepared for it. I got killed carrying a lot of runes. I was very angry.
Yeah. Well, and then
how many at the time?
I don't remember, but it was a lot for like early game.
Okay.
Well, and Godrick goes in there and grabs 30% of them.
And I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the rusty key in there. What is up with my iPad? It is not behaving today.
You get the rusty key, which actually takes you to a door that's about another story up, and it leads you to a ladder. There are some precipices you can travel onto.
Now, if you get to the top of the ladder and turn around, you can find Godrick in the wine cellar. He moves around the castle, which I didn't know at all the first time.
Are you kidding?
Godrick will be sitting there, like at the bottom of the wine cellar where you find the hook claws. He's like, "Oh, buddy, my friend."
They expected me to die a lot more than I did.
Well, I'm completely missed him. He moves to two other spots besides this as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed them both times then.
I missed him every time except for the first.
Yeah, he's very surprised you're there, and he's like, "Oh, I was just hanging out. I didn't lock any doors or nothing." He'll sell you a few items, but every time you do confront him, he will give you a grace mimic, which mimics a site of grace. It must be more of a multiplayer item because I didn't find any use for it.
I never found one.
Yeah, but then yes, you get up, you go up along the side, and you eventually get to the rampart site of grace. Mm-hmm. This is a really cool moment too because you have two ways you can go: up to the rooftops or into bird hell.
I liked Bird Hell this time because I was wielding lightning early within the game, and they are extremely weak to lightning. One shot, no matter what, every single time.
That delayed, I forget the name of it, that delayed glintstone that you get with the prisoner at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Where does the swords that hang over you?
It's just one, and it'll like...
The
That
phalanx?
No, it's not the phalanx.
It's the something glintstone. It's the glintstone shard,
I think,
or
maybe?
something like that. Yeah, so you summon the sigil, and then you can move around, and then eventually it'll just fire.
And it's like a 2 or 3 second delay.
It is maybe the best early spell in the game for a sorcerer, because if you fire just a straight glintstone pebble, the enemy will dodge it.
Yeah, but you can
If it's
draw
delayed.
aggro from the
Yep.
bird after you cast it. So you cast to get close, and the bird will come for you. And right before it hits you, if you time it right, it'll delay the bird's attack and give you an attack of opportunity. If we're going to go D&D, like if I can pull that out of my
think it's fair enough.
pocket.
Which you want any advantage you can over these birds, because not only do they have sword feet, they have giant flame barrels that they are going to toss at you.
Yep.
If Donkey Kong had flaming barrels, that would have been a more difficult game.
Yes.
But we're going to hear from some of the other amazing shows from the HyperX Podcast Network, and we're going to be right back to finish Stormveil.
Awesome.
Do you love Japan and video games? Well, so do we. We're Kinsey and Mark from Kyoto Indie Devs Chuhai Labs. Join us twice monthly for games, silly Japan news, and all-around nonsense. We stink at making commercials.
We f***ing got this one, bro.
Be sure to stop by the Chuhai Labs Discord to chat about our games or ask us questions.
Chuhai Labs and the Nasty Labs podcast. We're legally the best.
Need some adventure in your life? What Mad Universe is a podcast where two guys delve into the history of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, and the impact it's had on pop culture.
Everything's the same politically, but we have ray guns.
The actual motive isn't to explore something that's, quote, scientifically possible.
But neither is Star Wars, and I know there's arguments about that, but I would definitely consider Star Wars science fiction.
You haven't read Dune!
No, I haven't.
You can never be the Kwisatz Haderach.
What Mad Universe on the HyperX Podcast Network.
Eliminate clutter and embrace the freedom of HyperX wireless gaming gear for PC and console. Power through all the great monthly PlayStation Plus games with the Cloud Stinger Core Wireless for PlayStation. Enjoy lightweight comfort with reliable wireless freedom, so you won't miss plot points when you head to the fridge. High-quality HyperX wireless products can be found at most fine retailers, as well as online at Target, Micro Center, Best Buy, Amazon, Walmart, or shop directly at HyperX.com and HP.com.
And we're back, everybody. And so, yes, we just fought those evil, terrible monster birds. And then you go off to the left rather than keep going down the regular path. And there's some super sketchy jumping. Did y'all find this?
I did it right away. That was my first path.
Yeah, because there's the three birds, and you go up that little area, and then...
I think I was feeling adventurous because I didn't have a lot of runes on me, and I was just like,
Are you talking
let's just see.
Around the tower?
So when you
thin ledge?
Right past that site of grace in that... maybe livery, maybe we call it that. It's kind of like a kitchen almost.
Yeah.
When you go out, there are some sandbags essentially that lead up to the side of there, and I was just like, well, they're telegraphing this to me. I must do it.
Yeah.
And so that's exactly what I did.
We're talking about the one where you go way down.
Yes.
Not the rooftops.
Rooftops.
Not the rooftops.
Oh.
Right next to where the three birds are, you can jump off.
Oh, I didn't do that.
There's super narrow jumping all the way down.
Near the church?
No, this is before.
Okay.
And then, so you're going off the side of the castle with very little jumps to make.
Oh, okay.
And eventually, you jump down to this big massive land mass, and it drops, it breaks apart, and you fall way down. Down there, you can find, what do we got down here? Exploding birds. You find a Crucible Knight down there.
Fun.
One of the worst, most difficult enemies. The Crucible Knights, they served Godrick, the first Elden Lord, so that's probably why he is here. You get one of the aspects of the Crucible, which is a pretty rare spell that you can get, where you just grow a giant horn on your shoulder and you ram people with it.
Oh, fuck, I missed that.
It's pretty cool. That's mostly the reason you go down there, and then you can take an elevator back up to the Site of Grace, because you'll notice there is an elevator in that room, the Rampart Site of Grace, which you don't know how to use. That's where it comes from way down there.
Oh, all right.
Yes. And yes, but we can go up to the rooftops now. All the way up there, there's a bunch of sleeping dudes and a guy with a horn.
And that's where the sandbags are, because that's where I went.
Yeah. And it's one of those moments where you're like, I think I can make this jump, and then eventually you just keep going, and it has to be made purposefully because you're getting so far. But
one of the things that impressed me about it is usually like these shortcuts are a little more like concise, but this one kept going almost to a degree that makes you like very hesitant.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, well, I'm so afraid in this game sometimes. I'm like, where's the gatekeeping? Who's going to keep me from not making this, because I feel like I can.
There is a gatekeeper and he's stealing your runes.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. You get worried you're so far ahead and you're like, did I miss stuff? And have I gotten too far?
Yeah.
And then you're at the end of the game because you're at Raya Lucaria and it's the end of the game.
Yeah, the platforming I crafted so much soft cotton. I used the cotton a lot. It makes you quiet, super sneaky.
Wait, tell me about the soft cotton. This is something I didn't do.
Oh, yeah. Do you found any cotton wads in the wild?
Yeah.
Well, you can get a cookbook or a workbook or whatever the hell it's called, where you can craft the cotton.
Into what's the item called?
I think it's just called soft cotton.
Okay.
And
you just put it in your shoes and you're quiet?
Essentially, like he crouches down and like makes a fist, and it goes like, whoosh. And then it reduces fall damage, and it makes you super sneaky.
I like that.
So when I discovered that I could do that, I was like, oh, all right, sweet. Because I was getting rocked by all the NPCs.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
kind
all
of
the
like
enemies.
you play like a MacGyver a little bit. You're definitely doing a lot more crafting and
I like the crafting.
items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big cracked pot guy.
Yeah.
I think that's the 3rd episode in a row I've said that.
What is your favorite cracked pots?
The flame and the holy one is really nice because then as the spell sword, I don't have to use a spell slot to put the holy damage on my sword, which I know is useful and oftentimes more practical than the pot.
Yeah.
But in a pinch, it'll work. And especially early game, I was burning through so much FP using my spells that the pots are nice because I was kind of a glass cannon for a while. So I needed those pots to create some range. And I even get crazy with it. I even do the rope pots. Throw them behind me.
I like that.
Yeah. I just run around and throw shit.
You said you love pot, dude.
Yeah.
You get up to the rooftops, and there's a few different spots you can go up here. If you go all the way up, which is kind of a weird way to go, you can climb up to the tip top by jumping roof to roof. And there's a certain area you can go way up where you're surrounded by eagles at the very top.
Yeah.
I've never done this.
It feels very Assassin's Creed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's like a big nest up there.
I feel like it's an homage to Assassin's Creed almost, and they almost dare you to jump, but you'll die.
Even with the soft cotton, I was like, nah.
And another thing that makes me think of it is you find the claw talisman, and the description is
right, the two towers.
The 2 towers, yep.
Yeah.
You find the claw talisman. The description is the assassins of Ravenmount are killers by trade. They assail their victims while dressed as birds of prey. Dressing as a bird, it could be badass, but you could also be dressed like the eagles and It's Always Sunny or something. Depends on what kind of bird you're dressed as, I suppose.
Yeah.
The rooftops, you can get a kind of a roundabout way to the same area you're going. Otherwise, if you go past the explodey birds, you do get to the church, and you run into Rogier, who you have seen once before in the Margit battle, potentially, because you can summon him without having talked to him before. But this is your first chance to talk to Rogier in the church.
I've never summoned him.
He's in the Margit battle. He's available to summon from the beginning.
Right to the right of the mist before you walk in.
Man, they do not play that out very well.
He is a sorcerer hanging out in the church, and he says, "Whoa, you're a tarnished. Cool. You shouldn't be here, maybe. It's pretty dangerous. You know, they're hunting tarnished." Mm-hmm. And he isn't there personally trying to kill Godrick. He is there trying to find something in the depths below. He is researching those who live in death is why Rogier is there.
I think I know what he's looking for.
Yeah.
I think I have it.
A big old spooky face.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
After the church, though, if you get killed by those 2 knights outside, Gostok will show up on the roof of the church looking out over you. And he's like, "Oh, what's up, dude? I didn't know you'd find me up here. I wasn't going to steal your shit. I'm a good guy." So Gostok is up there as well. Oh, and also, he was also back there by the ramparts, the site of grace, too. He's up there if you die as well. Those are the other 3 spots you can find him.
I missed him after I met him the first time, every time.
Not many people look back. If you're going forward, why would you turn around and run back 30 feet to go find a guy who's like appeared there? I wouldn't go back necessarily.
Yeah, most of the time I'm being followed by a bunch of very angry enemies, and I don't really have time
throwing
back.
stuff at you. But yeah, you do wind up in the room of grafting, which that is a major little horror area. Right outside the main entrance to that, though, there is one banished knight, and there's a treasure chest where you find the Mimic's Veil. Mm-hmm. Have you guys fucked around with that item at all?
No.
Do it. It's very fun.
It'll
turn you into a random item based on the location. So if you're outside, you'll be a bush walking around, or you can be like a big like shield like barricade. You can just be a barricade walking by enemies.
Really? And they'll let you through? It's a stealth item?
It's a stealth item. It'll turn you into statues. It'll turn you into like anything that'll like make you blend in.
I like that.
And that is potentially how Godrick, one of the ways he snuck out of the capital. He stole the Mimic's Veil, which was like it was Marika's item, but he stole it, and that's how Godrick sneaks away. It's a little invisibility cloak.
Nice. I already thought that the storytelling and the lore in this game, as little as I understood, was fantastic. But after doing these episodes and learning the little backstories and all this shit, it's just like it's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah,
like it gets better and better.
There's a lot to take in at every spot.
Wow,
it's
awesome.
Subtext. It's all like, I love this type of stuff anyway. I love it in any form of storytelling. give me a reason to go back to your work. Give me a reason to like actually pay attention, because so many things just hit it on the head every single time.
And when they have open-ended storytelling, which has multiple interpretations, you will take something else out of it every time you come back because you are a different person. It's the same reason that films that don't spell out what's happening are better, because you can take different things out of it.
Yeah.
Every time I come back to Elden Ring, I have a different appreciation for what's going on. But you find the room of grafting with fucking limbs hanging everywhere, and it's a horror film.
It's hostile.
This is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah. This is not a place you want to be. There's an optional mini boss in here with the grafted scion. One of them shows up again. Defeat that fucker. Next to that room he is in, you find a pile of bodies with a couple of doggies out there. And there you find the Chrysalid's memento. This memento is Roderica's friends who went ahead of her. And this is nothing I've ever gotten, because I usually go out around enough before I go to the Round Table Hold. But if you're able to get to here and take the memento back to Roderica when she's still outside the castle before she moves to the Round Table Hold, she goes in the castle. And you go back to that spot again, you'll find her red hood on the pile of the bodies.
Oh.
So she actually will go in there and die and then go to the Round Table Hold. And that's the only way you can get her Crimson Hood, is that way.
Oh, okay. I missed the hood.
Yeah. Into hood. Also, right around there, you can use one of your stone sword keys. You can get the Iron Wet Blade, which you can use to change affinities on, I think, just better weapons or different weapons. The Iron Wet Blade is there with the stone sword key.
I never got that.
As well as the Misericord, which is a nice little pokey dagger. It says it's used by priests for healing. You know what that's... Yeah, it's healing. You eventually will come onto the Stormveil Castle courtyard with a lot of fucking dudes. There's like 30 dudes out here ready to fight with flamethrowers.
They're all kind of facing the same direction, though.
If you get behind them, you can kill them one at a time.
Oh, yeah.
Real easy. There is a painting room where you find the prophecy painting. And then there is a glowing statue, which I have not been able to break, but I've read that you can trick that omen to breaking it.
But what does it give you?
It's just like a somber smithing stone, I think. It's nothing too crazy, but those glowing statues can be broken by big enemies.
I've been so
maybe you have to bring the big guy from all the way up there all the way down. That might be it.
Oh, I will never do that.
I will never do that.
No.
Not for a smithing stone.
Smithing stone, maybe 2.
Yeah.
Somber 2. Yeah.
But there is an omen there. Fun thing about omens, you kill them, you don't get any runes because they don't actually die. They will come back and just be the same one that you hit. No runes from killing them, so don't even bother. But there is another room outside the castle courtyard with another stone sword key. This is where you can find the Godskin prayer book and the Godslayer's seal. This will be the first time you're hearing of these Godslayer apostles, Godskin apostles probably. They were formed to hunt and kill all gods and demigods, served under the Dusk-Eyed Queen. We'll learn more about that another time. Suffice it to say, they're pretty heavy metal.
Yeah.
If you want to go down to the main entrance, you can fight a lion guardian, a big old motherfucking lion with a sword attached to his arm, because why not? He wasn't scary enough. Let's put it, it's like sharks with freaking laser beams attached to them.
Freaking laser beams.
This will take you over to the Divine Tower. But if you want at this point is when you can go down to the depths. There are multiple ways. The easy one is right outside the site of grace by the courtyard. You can drop down. Otherwise,
with the guy cross-legged staring off into the abyss.
Yeah, looking down like I don't want to go down there, and I don't want to go back there. I'll just wait here and die. I've had enough. I think that Cossack guy's been stealing my shit. Bastard. But you can also take the elevator up from that site of grace, and then there will be a little room with a bunch of jars, which there's also a little dung beetle there. But if you go around that and go up, there's a way to get down to the side of the cliffs, and then you'll eventually get down to the same spot. But eventually you're going all the way down to ground level. You can find the Rankerall incantation down there.
I am literally just going to be doing this after the podcast.
It'll be easy for you now.
It will be, yeah.
It summons vengeful spirits that will chase down foes. Sorcery of the Servants of Death. This was an ancient death hex rediscovered by the Necromancer Garrus, who you run into later as a boss of a dungeon. Not a dungeon, like a cave, but he's around, and also he has family members that he made their heads into a weapon. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's that guy.
Yeah.
I have that weapon.
There's only 5 death sorceries in the game, this being one of them. In the time there was no Erd Tree, death was burned in Ghost Flame. The Death Birds were keeper of this. We don't need to talk about that, but if you go further down, you will fight the Ulcerated Tree Spirit. It's a boss. That's a mini boss fight. It doesn't have like a full health bar at the bottom.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, but it is definitely a boss fight.
Okay.
It is a tree spirit that has definitely been poisoned and malformed and disfigured, and it's got a lot of something going on inside of it. You get a golden seed from defeating it, but then you will find a giant face on the ground.
I was running from my life at that point because I was still pretty low level, and I kind of ended up down there because I was running away from so much shit.
Yeah.
And then I felt like I was really out of place. Like, oh God, this is just getting worse and worse. And then
a boss.
Then the boss shows up, and I tried to attack it and did almost no damage to it right away, and was like, okay, this is gonna be bad. Time to put on the cardio pants and get the fuck out of here. And I was running and just picking up the items that I could see.
Yep.
I got the talisman that's down there. That's really useful. But as I was running, I saw the face, and I did one of those things where, like, even in a full sprint, I stopped and looked at it. I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. And then turned and kept running, and somehow managed to not die.
Yeah. My first time seeing it, I was jumping up on the rooftops way up there. I missed a jump, and I fell all the way down, landed in front of the face, and died. And I was like, oh, no.
There's something here.
What is down here? But then I did the same thing you did. When the Ulcerated Tree Spirit shows up, I was already weak, probably out of flasks. So I went up. I said, oh, that's a thing. And then I grabbed the talisman, and I ran away. Go up the ladder. But
the longest ladder in video game history.
Play Bloodborne.
It's called Metal Gear Solid 3, and if I didn't say it, you guys wouldn't know. Have you guys ever played Metal Gear Solid 3?
No.
Okay, it's Metal Gear Solid 3. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
It's the most well-known long ladder climb.
Longer than Bloodborne?
Yes. It plays the entirety of Snake Eater as you climb it.
Wait, yeah, no. All right, you said Metal Gear Solid 3. I just always call it Snake Eater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that ladder is the longest ladder.
Yeah, quick tangent. That's my first Metal Gear game, and that game fucking rocks. And that is a long-ass ladder.
Yes,
You're right.
it is, yeah.
The Snake Eater is a nickname for Praetor Rickard's wife as well.
Oh,
damn.
She's going to eat that whole snake, I promise you.
Oh, shit.
This giant face, though, you find the Prince of Death's pustule. That's the name of the talisman. It's a pustule, just the dictionary, small blister or pimple on the skin containing pus. Beautiful.
Accurate description.
The description of the item. It is said that this pustule came from the visage of the Prince of Death, he who used to be called Godwin. As first dead of the demigods, it's said he's buried deep under the capital at the Erd Tree's roots. So this describes a lot of what happened with Godwin and what you're going to find later if you go down to the Erd Tree roots. This face, though, that is down there is the same face you will see later when you actually get to that spot. So I do imagine that Godrick brought part of that face there, or something he's trying to like grow part of Godrick there.
Sure.
You can also, one of the reasons I like to play offline is there's a blood stain you can access down there, and it's Rogier's, and you see his body just get lifted up and destroyed.
Yeah. Some real like aliens type shit.
Some real horror movie shit.
Yeah.
If you saw this happening in real life, you would freak out. But yes, that's down there, giant face. And this thing is the reason the castle is rotting. But yeah, that's why the castle is rotting. That's why there's thorns growing everywhere, because it has this curse mark of death living in the bottom. That's why Rogier came to the castle. He went down there to find that thing, to research it. We'll discover more about that. But before the boss, you run into an NPC. Her name is Nefelilu, and she's just a real badass lady.
Ride or die, homie.
Yeah.
Nefelilu is pretty cool.
I got this super sketchy potion from this guy. Do you want it?
Up.
Like, he says it's not poisonous or anything. You'll be fine. Do you want it?
Wait, no. No, I did not give her the potion.
You said no?
No, I gave it to you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because he asked first. So I was like, yeah. I gave her the ash.
You're doing the right thing.
Yes. Hey, the Yes Man track is back in business,
There
baby.
we go. Okay.
You said yes to the right person first.
Yeah.
Godrick the Grafted is a pretty cool looking boss, although I found him to be much easier after Margit.
Yeah, in fact, he doesn't have he doesn't close the distance in the same way that Margit does, because Margit can really just he'll be on the opposite side of the field and then he'll push forward pretty quick. And then he has those long combos, whereas Godrick does not have long combos.
He can do a lot of little rolly moves.
Yeah.
And then he'll just wind up and do one attack. Whereas Margit was very much attack. And Godrick's got a much bigger battlefield. Whereas Margit, you're on a much little narrower spot. You are possibly going to roll off.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, you have much more room to play around. And at this point, hopefully you summoned in Felilu to help to fight this battle, because she's just a badass. She did say she was ordered by her adopted father to kill and dethrone Godrick, because Gideon Ofnir doesn't do anything for his fucking self. But yeah, you get him down to half health, and there's a dead dragon, and he rips its fucking head off and puts it onto his arm. And that was exciting for me when I was playing the game.
It's cool.
Cutting his own arm off.
Yeah.
I mean, for the man that is addicted to grafting arms, that's a big sacrifice. I'm going to give him props to that.
Gossop's fuck you, that was my arm.
I would rather have the dragon arm that breathes fire.
That is true. I think his second phase, because this was my first Souls game, I know, I heard Legend of the Second Phase, so I knew eventually it was coming, and Margit doesn't have one. Margit's just that once he's dead, he's dead.
Yeah.
So
it's always kind of a toss-up. I think 50% of these bosses have a second phase.
I was always looking out for it. And
any major boss, too, has a second phase.
I think his second phase was great, too, because, I mean, I was equipped for fire with my talisman, so I was prepared. But his second phase really kind of kicked my ass a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of AoE.
Oh, man. That fire, it's the one where he just chomps on you and picks you up, and oh man, that pissed me off.
To me, it's the panic. When I encounter something for the first time, I'm overwhelmed with terror and fear that I just dodge, rather than wait, dodge. I'll just I will straight up. I remember fighting Margit. Sometimes I dodged 3 times before he attacked once, and that makes me even more scared. But once you accomplish beating them once, you can go back in and it's
kind of wipe the floor. Yeah. I've never experienced a situation where once I got it, I wasn't able to recreate the situation unless it was with a different build. That's the only time.
Yeah.
With strength builds, there are some boss battles that are insanely difficult, not okay by any stretch of the imagination. Fighting dragons with your sword it's not good.
Ill-advised. Yeah. They are made of reach and flying. Godrick the Grafted, though, he's a big boy, and he dies.
He does.
He says he's going to the Golden Land, and his forefathers will be there. It's fuck you, dude. But
did he have children?
Not that we know of.
Okay.
He probably went up to a lot of bars and he said, I have a truck with nuts on it. And they went the other way.
Hey, baby, you like hands? Got a bunch of them.
You know, I'm kind of a nice guy.
He'd say a joke and then have 10 hands clapping for him behind his back.
It's whoa, I wasn't even trying.
When you defeat him, you receive Godrick's Great Rune and Remembrance of the Grafted. This will be your first remembrance you get, which we can talk about what you'll do with that in a sec. But if you reload right into that room, Gostok will be there, curb stomping the dead corpse.
Yep, I did find that.
And that's the first time I've liked Gostok.
I didn't realize it was the same guy at first.
You didn't?
Well,
no.
There are characters that look like him, though, too, so that's kind of fair.
Yeah.
He's got the same garb as many people. He doesn't stand out at all, really.
Yeah.
Other than he's missing an arm, which I didn't even notice the first time I was playing.
No, neither did I.
But yeah, there's a throne back there identical to the Capitol's throne. if you go down the back door area, you'll find a corpse with a shabriri grape. He's clutching his eyes, the ghost. And the shabriri grape is what you give to the blind women who want to become maidens. And yes, there is some cut dialogue from Gostock and some cunt content.
Yep.
Cut content.
For our Australian listeners out there.
Some friendly content for our Australian listeners. Gostock was originally going to be an offspring of Godrick.
Oh, like a little bastard child.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Which might be one of the reasons he hates him. It was removed, though, but this was cut content.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So fun to think about, but not canonical anymore.
Would it technically be his child if he's grafting on everyone else's nuts?
If it was someone else's nuts, we don't know the rules here.
Yeah. I know the rules. It can't be so. It's not your genetics.
Oh, man, grafting is interesting in the real world. I watched a YouTube video. I was looking up Godrick the Grafted, and I accidentally watched a video about a guy who had made a tree that can grow 40 different kinds of fruit because he was grafting different branches of fruit trees onto one tree.
That's psychotic.
But one tree can grow 40 different kinds of fruit, which is psychotic but cool.
It's cool.
This guy was grafting wieners onto his butt.
Yeah.
Good for you, Godrick. Everyone loves you. He just goes home and writes in his journal, everyone laughed at my jokes today. They loved my truck.
Yeah.
Ladies think I'm cute.
Do you think any of the faces that he has grafted to him don't like him and just talk shit?
I don't know if he's grafted a face to him. I don't see any faces on
There were
him.
no faces. It was mostly arms.
I don't think he'd want that. He doesn't like anyone who talks back to him.
Yeah. That part's true.
He did graft a dragon's head, but I don't know. I mean, the dragons do have a sentience to them. After you defeat him, though, you can go up to the Divine Tower, which will be guarded by some golems. You need to restore benediction to your great runes. They are useless the way they are. So you take the great rune up to the Divine Tower of Limgrave. You have to transport over there, the big towers. And there'll be the dead two fingers at the top. You show them the great rune. And then
wait a tickety-tack. Where's the Divine Tower?
It's the one that's past the Lion Guardian on the way down to the main gate.
Yeah, at the end of that very big bridge.
Oh, no.
Well, it's just Godrick's great rune you couldn't use. Each one has its own divine tower you need to use.
Yeah, I know.
Godrick's is pretty good, though.
Yeah, just like a buff on everything, right?
Yeah.
A little buff on everything.
Yeah, I've used it quite a few times.
Yeah, you have to restore the benediction to the great rune, and then you use a rune arc to activate it, and you have it until you die. So it's almost good for 5 minutes for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't it stay with you?
After you die, you'd have to use another rune arc to activate the great rune again.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought I had it. Never mind.
You can have it be the great rune, but it's not activated until you use a rune arc.
Yeah,
Sure.
I needed the points too for something. I was trying to wield something intelligence based or something, and I thought I was just going to get a permanent buff. And I spent a long time trying to figure out how the hell to activate that thing.
Yeah. It's one of those things that pops up in a tiny tutorial one time, but you're usually just, I'm doing something, I don't have time to read this.
Yeah. Fuck. That's my whole that's my impression. Fuck. I'm like, no more read.
Yeah.
Me fight.
Yeah. I have places I want to go.
Yeah.
But if you head back to the round table hold, now you have access to Enya and the two fingers, which are available there.
Uh-huh.
I believe these are the only two fingers that are alive that you run into in the game. I would hate to be wrong. I think it is, though. Enya is a finger reader crone. Really frail, tiny, very, very old woman.
Super
Looks
ugly.
like, to me, always looked like the old woman that wants the chocolate from SpongeBob. That's in
I don't
my
know
mind.
what that is.
Chocolate.
I think I know what that is. Regardless, I can see what a SpongeBob animation of her would look like.
Yeah,
It would be
I can
very
see
exciting.
it. Every time I see her, I'm just like...
These finger reader crones, they know how to interpret the subtle movement of the two fingers. The two fingers, they are vessels that communicate the greater will to the inhabitants of the lands between. So essentially, the fingers do tiny little movements, and she says, oh, it says you should vote for Obama. Like, that's how she will interpret it.
So she's essentially like a palm reader of sorts.
She's a finger reader.
Yeah.
That's why when you run into other finger reader crones on the road, they're like, can I read your fingers? And she puts your fingers in her mouth, and that's how she reads them. Some of them.
Rose.
Some people might like it.
Kind of sexy.
We're not going to rule 34 that one, though.
Oh, I am.
We're going to save that for Patreon content.
Hold on.
But yep, so you can go in there. You can use your remembrances to get one of 2 items, generally from the boss. But she also talks shit about Godrick, which is fun.
Yep.
But Gideon Ofnir, myself, now opens his room to you. You can come into my room, and he will bid you welcome. Like, you are finally a true member of the Round Table Hold. And Nefeli Lu will also appear, and that is Gideon's adopted daughter. Now, you do pick up on the story a little bit, though. He raised her out of his own selfish needs. He wanted someone that was loyal to him, that could do what he wanted. The moment she becomes useless to him, he abandons her. Because I am not a good father. I am Gideon Ofnir, and if I have my own goals, you're going to do what I say, or I'm going to disown you. You're going to college. But Nefeli Lu, she'll give you the Arsenal Charm, which is found in Godrick's grafting grounds. This resembles a mass of weaponry. This is based on the grafted greatsword that you find at Castle Morn. Mm-hmm. And she is potentially descended from Godfrey.
Okay, I was just going to say at this point is where I started to kind of follow the story a little better and started putting pieces together because it was, you're given more information, but now I'm lost again.
Nefeli Lu, Lous is her last name. Horalu is Godfrey's original name. He is from the Badlands. She is from the Badlands.
Because she's a hero class, which are notoriously from the Badlands.
Correct. And Godfrey, that's when he was deemed useless by the Grace. He was banished with the Tarnished. Mm-hmm. They left south, back to the Badlands. Her last name is Lu. It might just be like the name of the tribe. We don't know how the naming conventions work there. I like to think she is somehow descended from Godfrey, though, because she becomes the leader of Stormveil through some specific things that need to happen involving not giving her a potion.
I did it.
So far,
yeah.
But she'll be there for a while, and then she's sent on a mission by Gideon to go to the village of the Albinarix, where she finds out that Gideon Ofnir, we'll talk about this more in Liurnia of the Lakes, but Gideon's up to some shit she doesn't like, so she calls him out on it, and then he disowns her. Later, you're able to go back to the Church of Anticipation, where you spawn into the world, the very beginning of the game. If you go back there, there's a new door opened up, which has the Stormhawk King ashes, and you give those to her. The Church of Anticipation is related to Stormveil, too. I'm guessing there used to be a bridge between the two.
Yeah, because it's just west of there, right? That little island.
Yep. And if you give her the Stormhawk King ashes, she will go eventually to Stormveil. I think it's after you defeat Margot. She goes to Stormveil, and Kenneth Haight will be there as well as Gostok if you haven't killed him. They'll all be in the throne room hanging out together.
I need to go back because I've been waiting. Kenneth has been... I can get knighted now, maybe. That motherfucker owes me.
This was patched in. This wasn't originally in the game.
Really?
The culmination of their story.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Nefeli Lu will become the leader of Stormveil, the Lady of Stormveil, which is kind of cool.
All right, well, I know what I'm doing when I get home.
There you
go. One other thing we need to talk about, though, before we leave is Sorcerer Roger. We're going to talk about the conclusion to this poor homie storyline. You'll find him.
Sounds like he was a bit weak and he couldn't get good.
Is that your D impression?
The what?
D talks a little shit about him.
I guess so.
I can see that being D's voice.
Yeah.
The hunter of the dead.
D might be my secondary.
Yeah.
D might be my secondary persona for this.
He can just be your new persona if you want.
No, I like the Dung Eater.
But yes, Sorcerer Roger is in the Round Table Hold as well. Right before that area you jump down, he'll just be sitting there. And he said, you tell him you beat Godrick. He's like, that's cool. We both got what we wanted out of that trip. And then he says, here's a present, and it's Roger's sword plus 8. Mm-hmm. Because he says, I have no use for it. I can't really move anymore. And turns out, fucking around with a giant curse-marked face in the bottom of the depths of Stormveil wasn't healthy. He is...
I never got that from him. That actually sounds pretty good for that early in the game.
Yeah, it's a plus 8, which is great. But he... you talk with him. He once traveled with D, the Hunter of the Dead. They used to... There's probably a good 5-part graphic novel of those two wandering around together, learning about those who live in death.
Oh, certainly.
But ideological differences forced them apart. D is seeking to destroy those who live in death. His ultimate goal is to destroy what is causing this curse. He wants to find what, I don't know if he understands the full thing, but he's trying to find the curse marks of death and destroy it. Whereas Rogier wants to cure them. He wants to find out what's going on, bring it together, and find a way to free these spirits which are trapped living in death.
Yeah.
And D calls him stupid for it, but he gives you his rapier +8. And it's revealed that he possibly wanted to go down there specifically to become cursed, to learn more about what it's like to be cursed. Not a good move.
It's not a great choice.
He's doing the yes man thing in a bad way.
I thought he was down there I thought he was like touched by death, and I thought he was down there looking for the talisman that I got.
No, he was there before you, because you'll find his bloodstain there right away.
I didn't see the bloodstain, so when I came back and
there are many bloodstains in that area, though.
If it's offline, though, you'll see it for sure.
Yeah.
I just thought, because when I come back and he's like, yo, I can't really move and I'm pretty sick, I was like, oh, you must be. I thought I could give him the talisman or something. I mean, I would have, because I'm a yes man.
Yeah.
But it turns out that thing's been pretty helpful. But I always thought that's why he was down there. He was trying to like cure himself or something.
Someone would be on the street like, I'm so hungry. You're like, do you want this poison hot dog? You can have it. Yeah. Yes, man.
Hell yeah.
But Rogier will be there for a while. Eventually, you do find an item called the Black Knife Print, and you can give it to him to study, and he'll give it back to you. When he studies this, he concludes Lunar Princess Rani was responsible for the ritual of the Night of the Black Knives. This is the first time you found out she's responsible. And he says she should bear the curse mark of death. If you find her body, wherever it is, it should have the curse mark of death and death somewhere upon her flesh. Find her and reclaim the curse mark, and Rogier dies. So the last thing he does, though, is task you with a mission to find Lunar Princess Rani's body. And you can even, like, when you do finally run into her and you can start working for her, he's like, great, just pretend you're on her side and just keep going along. But he doesn't know the conclusion. He does succumb to his wounds. And that concludes Limgrave and Stormveil and the Weeping Peninsula.
Mm-hmm.
I think a wonderful first area of the game.
Honestly, one of the things that always captures me about Limgrave is when you first exit the first area and you just get to kind of see it all like put out right out there before you. It is truly like a Breath of the Wild moment where you're like, uh-oh.
And the game managed to give you like 5 of those, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. I think everyone can learn about level design from this.
The amount of
sheer everything,
the exploration, the depth of every location built into this game.
I know.
I was just riding around, just kind of exploring, learning of the lakes to get ready for the next episode. And there was an area I definitely just rode through once and didn't pay attention to. I was like, this is brand new to me, which is exciting.
Yeah, and Limgrave was great because, I mean, it's a nice opener to the game. And as I progressed on and eventually got my shit rocked by some boss somewhere outside of Limgrave, I always came back home to like level up a little bit, retool a little bit. But then just when I thought I had found everything, like even getting to like Volcano Manor and then bouncing back to Limgrave, because I'm like, I'm sure there's some catacomb somewhere that I missed. And sure enough, you find something. So they managed to pack a lot of content into an opening area. And I'm sure I'm missing stuff still at this point.
I was very surprised to find out there were 3 areas I missed in Stormveil Castle when I was getting ready for this a couple weeks ago.
I'm literally going to explore them when I get home. So,
Yeah, it's fun. I guess before we leave, I want to call out one enemy that is in Stormveil, which you don't see many places. It's a giant fucking vampire bat just hanging upside down. And I don't remember seeing them many other places, but they're stunning design and
they're usually on archways, on pathways.
Okay. They're super cool.
They're really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to be back. If you're a Patreon member, you're listening to this a month earlier than everybody else. So thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Mm-hmm. If you want early access to these episodes, as well as all of the other ones that we do with Hair the Dogcast and Raw Dogs, check out patreon.com/Hair the Dogcast. We are on Twitter @HotDogcast. We are on Facebook and Instagram, Hair the Dogcast. And you can also please email us at hairofthedogcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions about Elden Ring lore, or anything you think we got wrong. I would like to hear what your thoughts are. But we'll be back. Next time Elden Dogs releases is going to be in Liurnia of the Lakes, which I estimate this will be probably a 3-part series as well.
Oh, yeah.
Liurnia
There's just too much. It's so long. Yeah.
Because we have to talk about the village of the Albinarics. We have to talk about Carian Manor. We have to talk about Raya Lucaria.
Yeah.
And I think before we leave Liurnia, we do actually have to go down to the Siofra Riverwell and the Ainsel Riverwell and discuss some of that.
Oh, jeez.
Here
we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
But at least Limgrave's behind us.
Yeah. Yeah.
It only took 4 episodes.
Only.
And next time we release, I don't know what it is, but it's going to be really good. Probably the best Dogcast ever when the next episode on the Dogcast.
Absolutely.
Exciting.
Every time.
I know what we're talking about. I don't know release-wise if this is on the regular feed. I don't know what's next for the Dogcast, but if you're a Patreon member, the next thing we're talking about on the Dogcast is Master Chief getting laid, and I'm excited to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because I have some thoughts.
You do, huh?
I have to I'm gonna have to find the show because I haven't watched it at all, and now I gotta figure it out.
You got the Paramount Plus?
I'm very excited to go to episode 9 or whatever it is, miss all of the story, and just find Master Chief. I guess that the person he has sex with
is his prisoner of war
who works for the Covenant.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm very excited to see this.
Yeah.
And he just takes his mask off all the time, which I guess I have thoughts, but
sure.
This has been Elden Dogs. Thank you. Don't touch any rotting faces in your basement.
I probably won't.
But
there are a ton of them.
But see if they have a Rule 34.
Yeah, I couldn't find one for the
finger readers.
Crones. I'm sorry, guys.
The Dung Eater has lost this one.
Oh man, I'm surprised we got Godrick. Frankly, so
yeah, that's some weird stuff. That was surprisingly competent art too.
Yeah, I was honestly
no, that
surprised.
is a professional hentai manga person, definitely.
Which is a tough thing to explain to your family at family reunions. What do you do for work? Comic book artist.
Yeah, you know,
like
erotic.
Superman. Yeah, I like Superman.
Can I see
love
some
arrow
art?
manga.
It must
you
be
know.
pretty good.
Yeah,
You can't see my art.
no.
Eliminate clutter and embrace the freedom of HyperX wireless gaming gear for PC and console. Power through all the great monthly PlayStation Plus games with the Cloud Stinger Core Wireless for PlayStation. Enjoy lightweight comfort with reliable wireless freedom so you don't miss plot points when you head to the fridge for a beer. High-quality HyperX wireless products can be found at most fine retailers, as well as online at Target, Best Buy, and Amazon. Or you can shop for them directly at HyperX.com and HP.com.